All right. Hi, everybody. Oh, welcome to the Nourished Fertility Workshop. We are so excited to have you today. We want to go ahead and get started because we want to respect your time. So people are going to keep trickling in. I'm not sure, Noemi, if I can let people in or not. Or if you can let people in. So I'm going to keep this up just so I don't miss anybody. Sorry, everybody. But today we're going to talk about fertility nutrition and how you can get started on implementing some of these things. But today we also really want this to be conversational. So please feel free to stop us and ask questions. I want it to feel like we're just sitting here having coffee together. And also if you're virtual, you feel free to unmute yourself and ask us a question. By the way, almost like you're here. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Jessie. I'm so happy you're here. I'm a registered dietitian, and this is a photo of me on the beach. I love the beach. I'm from Florida, and my favorite title is that I'm a mom to Caden and a wife to my husband, Matt. I'm also the owner and founder of Beyond Nutrition Co. We've been in business for 4 years, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. I think the title you relate the most with is that I'm also a fertility warrior, and I have been in your shoes, so I can really relate to what you're going through and how you're feeling about your body. That brings me perfectly to my personal experience. I too struggled with infertility and dealt with distress with my body. And so I can, again, really relate to what you're going through and how you're feeling about your body. My specialty is teaching women how nutrition supports their lifestyle. And my favorite thing to do and my mission is to support women to gain confidence and understand how to nourish and trust their bodies. So my hope for today is that you can learn to build a life that's really authentic to you and build a life that's in alignment with your values. Let me close this. And then this is my partner in crime, Lily. So she can go ahead and introduce herself.
Yeah, well, hello guys. I'm Lily, and I actually just recently graduated from the University of Kentucky with a BS in dietetics. So I'm on the route to being a dietitian, but I'm not quite there yet. But I'm currently assisting Jessie and helping her, and I'm in my dietetic internship. And yeah, just like doing all those things on the path to becoming a dietitian myself. But I really became interested in hormonal health, fertility, pregnancy, nutrition, all of those things when I was in undergrad. And so that really made me center a lot of my research in undergrad around fertility, nutrition, and nutrition during pregnancy, and all those things. And I actually, my freshman year of college, really struggled with a hormonal imbalance myself. It prevented me from doing a lot of things. I had brain fog, my hair was falling out, my hormones were all out of whack, and it was not a fun time for me and my health. But luckily I had Jessie to save the day, and that's when I met her and we kind of started working together, and she started mentoring me, and she helped me immensely with my hormonal imbalance. And as I'm sure a lot of people know, hormones have a huge effect on fertility, so it's super, super important. So that's what really made me want to be a dietitian, wanted me to want to really study hormonal imbalances, fertility, pregnancy, nutrition, all of those things. So, and yeah, like Jessie said, we really want this to be super conversational today. And this is a lot of information, so we really have worked to make it really achievable for you all. But at the same time, if you have any questions at all, please stop us, raise your hand, any of us. We're happy to.
So where I'd love to get started is with this quote: eating less and exercising more still doesn't work. Love your hormones. So what I think you'll find today is that we really want to have an approach of starting to listen more to our bodies and actually tune out a lot of that noise and external voices that we're hearing about nutrition, this or that. And I think that will help us be more successful as we work towards our fertility. My hope is that today you take away from this presentation some clarity and some steps of things that you feel confident implementing into your daily life. That brings us to our topics. So we're going to function today by walking through steps 1 and 4. We really want you to start by supporting your body, understanding what true nourishment looks like, and how you would be able to trust your body and what that would look like for you. My specialty is really the nourishing piece of this, but as someone who has walked through this, I feel like the support and the understanding piece was lacking. And so my goal is to, when I'm working with clients and with you today, is to help provide a piece of that. So when we're talking with each other, I'm always trying to provide that support and understanding of your body that I felt was so lacking. And I really think it's key to bringing it all together. So let's start with this. Your body isn't broken. We just need to listen to what it's telling us. So step one is supporting your body. We do this through learning how your mindset, movement, stress, and sleep could be supporting your body, or maybe it's not as supportive as it could be. Oops. So let's start with the question. What's your favorite way to support your body? That's great. I love that. I love that. Yes, I love that. Yeah, that's great. How do you like to do your greens?
So I tell the blogger, I just got a shipment of fuel. Ever heard of 80 Acres Farm?
No.
They're in Kroger. They're out of Cincinnati.
Okay.
And they have like the best like greens. Like I like to do like salad.
Yeah.
Yum. That's super yummy. That's awesome. That's great. I love that. Sleep and greens. There we go.
Yeah.
I was going to say like bubble bath and listen to a podcast, but those are great too.
Yeah, no,
What's your favorite way?
I love walking, listening to podcasts. I love coconut water, so I love to like go on my walk in the sun with my coconut water and my podcast. And
Yeah.
it's peaceful. I like the show.
Get sun. That's a good one too. Yeah.
Hey, Jesse.
Yes.
I hate to interrupt. Just wanted to let you know we can't hear Lily as well. I don't know if she could step just a tiny bit closer to the laptop when she does present.
Yeah, perfect. That's great. Thank you for telling us, Noemi.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no. So step one, supporting your body. Here we really want you to take a step back and not just looking at what's going on within your physical body, but how are you speaking to yourself on a constant basis? Where are you spending your time? How are you taking care of your body? Are you treating it with respect? So this is something we like to do with our clients, and it's really like taking an inventory and taking an assessment. We call it the wellness wheel, and to see where are you putting your energy. I like to think of it as, say you are a bank and you only have a certain amount of money, and I want you to think, how are you investing that money? Is it in all the areas to give a balance here, or are you out of balance and maybe not able to support your fertility in the way that you could? So our goal here is to make sure you have a strong foundation so you can go forward towards your goals and live the life and, fertility that you want. So the pillars here are emotional, physical, environmental, social, recreation, spiritual, and mental. And so what I really like to do here is, again, just take an assessment at the beginning, see what's serving you and what's not, where are your strengths and where are your weaknesses. We've all got areas that we can improve on, and this, I think, really just kind of brings to light, maybe your sleep isn't where it should be. And I think that's probably the most important thing for health, maybe you're so stressed that you aren't sleeping that well, so this kind of brings to light those big things we need to work on. And honestly, in your healing journey, having fun is super important too. I think we get so caught up in this fertility space, doing all the things, maybe we're a little bit more perfectionist driven. So having fun could honestly be like the missing piece. So I know for me personally, when I was going through my fertility journey, I kind of had to do this assessment on myself. We're all working on our whole holistic being. And I kind of realized that financial stressors were kind of stressing me out a little bit more than I realized, and it was keeping me back from where I wanted to be. So I kind of had to check in and, check on my spending and maybe do a little bit less of that. So I could put my money where I cared for it to be, that was in alignment with my values. So Lily, I don't know if you've had any experience with.
Yeah, no, definitely. Whenever like I said earlier, I had that hormonal imbalance my freshman year, I was putting all my energy into school and studying and not into my health. I would like skip meals, not intentionally, just was so busy and just didn't allocate enough time to nourishing my body and prioritizing my health. I was just putting other things in front of that. And so it really took me, examining each of these factors and taking inventory of what I was doing with my time and how much time I actually was putting towards my health. And how much time I actually was taking to prepare nutrient-dense meals or to go and get nutrient-dense meals. So it really, really took me taking inventory of these things and really taking inventory of my time to, identify my weak spots and kind of reshift and reprioritize.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure you're putting your energy in the right places. Absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely.
So step 2 is starting to understand your body. Now that you've started to figure out what it looks like to support your body and what's maybe helping and what's not, you need to bring in outside support as well. Now we can get into understanding what's going on within your physical body by understanding your menstrual cycle, your symptoms, history, and risk factors. So I'm curious, how are you feeling about your menstrual cycle? Are you feel super out of the loop on it? Are you never sure when it's coming? You hate it, super bad cramps?
Honestly, it's regular, but it's just coming off of birth control and in the last 3 years, I would say, after COVID
Yeah.
Significantly worse.
Mm.
So,
Significantly worse as in symptoms or like irregular?
worse symptoms,
Okay.
like, not irregular, it's like very, very
Yeah.
heavy bleeding and cramping.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So,
Yeah.
Mine's a total different thing, but when it's normal, yeah, I have normal cycles. I do have heavy bleeds and all that stuff, that fibroids, but
Mhm.
stuff like that, so.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so doesn't sound like super fun right now,
Yeah.
but it's telling you something, you know,
Yeah.
so I think that's maybe a positive way to look at it. Anybody else want to say anything about their cycle?
I would just say mine. I just feel like I never know when it's coming. I feel like I get a pattern and then it's like surprise,
Yeah.
plot twist.
Yeah, that's super frustrating too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can start to learn more about it and so we can know when it's coming. I think starting to understand your body through your menstrual cycle can be one of the best ways to get more of an idea of what's going on in your optimal health. Not to mention, it's also one of the least invasive ways. When we're going through fertility, we're kind of feeling like we're being like pricked and prodded all the time. And it's super frustrating, overwhelming, and time consuming, honestly, too. So this is a really great way to, honestly, I think maybe give us more information about what's going on in the body, and it's free and it's less invasive. So my goal with clients and with you today is to start to give you an idea of what's going on in our cycle, something we should have been taught in the 6th grade.
Yeah,
but
we honestly like weren't until the last couple of years when I've really taken the time for myself to educate myself on, you know, menstrual cycle and the specifics. Like they don't educate you on that. Like I like knew nothing about it. I was just like, oh, I have a period, like whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they don't tell you anything.
Yeah.
So,
And
super important.
And I think
Yeah.
as you like go into infertility, you don't realize that like my mom struggled with it too. And we didn't talk about it until I was trying to get pregnant. So you feel so alone, but really there's a lot of us struggling with period symptoms too, you know? So I think it's something we're going to talk about starting today. And I think the information can be really empowering, and help us like bring to light some of those symptoms and things we could support. So just for some basics, the period starts with your follicular phase, which goes from day 1 to day 14 if you ovulate on day 14, which is not everyone ovulates, and there's nothing wrong with that. The main thing is you just need to know that you need to know the signs to look for, so you know when you're ovulating, so you're able to get pregnant. And if you do have a super long cycle, things we could do to get you ovulating more regularly, because I mean, if you only ovulate every 60 days, that's only a couple times a month you can get pregnant. So that's hard too. And then we want to get to the luteal phase and have an optimal luteal phase so that the body is ready and able to support a pregnancy at the end of the cycle. So our goal here is to really help us identify where we can support your fertility issues, whether it's that you're having issues conceiving, or if you're struggling with recurring miscarriages. This helps bring to light some deeper issues that are going on that we could help support with, and just feel empowered, like partnering with your body. Yeah. The other big thing we like to highlight here with clients that I think was super empowering for me to know too, was that yes, one cycle important, right? But what we really need to start to look at is that egg maturity takes 85 to 100 days. So what you do today will impact your cycle 3 cycles from now. So we got to start to look at this as a long-term approach. And I think we sometimes like try one thing, doesn't work, so we get frustrated. And maybe we try something else, but maybe what you were doing was right. You know, you just need to know you've got to be in there for the long haul. And it's going to take minimum 3 cycles to see the fruits of that. We call it the 100-day journey. And then we get into the functional fertility workup. So bear with me, this is a lot, but it's all fun. And I really think I love to show people this because I think it helps you to realize like there's so much going on in your body. Your body's doing so much to support you. We really need to just, you know, give it some grace and look at all these components. So we start with menstrual cycle, like we just went through today. And we go through a detailed hormone testing, and also assessing patterns and symptoms within your cycle. We definitely do a lot of education on your cycle and ways you can support it and better understand what's going on. Then we go into your environment and assess endocrine disruptors. How is your sleep? How is your stress? This is almost like an inner wellness wheel, and figuring out what's going on within the body and maybe what needs some more support. Then we go into blood sugar balance. Here we assess are you having a lot of cravings? Are you eating regularly, or are you having difficulty making those like balanced meals throughout the day, which could be affecting your blood sugar? Then we assess your insulin and glucose levels and make sure there's not pieces of the puzzle that we're not missing. Here's a really big piece that doctors might have done an A1C level, but that's like pretty pathetic, you know? So we need to dig deeper here and really help you feel empowered to advocate for yourself to make sure there's not something going on. And then as far as gut health, I think this is a great place that we can support others, is to identify, make sure that your digestive system is functioning. I think it's kind of funny. I ask women all the time how their digestive system is, and everyone says fine, you know, and I'm like, well, what does that mean for you? And I think so people maybe live with fine, but it's not fine. We need to be going multiple times a day. And I love this topic, but I know everyone doesn't. It needs to be good. It needs to be a normal bowel movement, no weirdness. So if there is anything going on, we really need to dig in here to support detoxification and reduce inflammation. If you're not digesting your food right, you are not absorbing nutrients, and we're really not going to make as much progress. So we got to do some work there. And then we get into nutrient status, which we're going to get into more here down the line. But here we do want to look more beyond like your relationship with food, even though I think that matters a lot. We want to see what's on your plate. What are you eating? Are there things in your history that make it a little bit more challenging to get absorbed and get those nutrients that you need, especially for fertility? And then of course, we want you to feel confident building balanced meals to support your fertility. And then lastly is thyroid health, which is thyroid health is very tied to reproductive health. If your thyroid is deteriorating or functioning suboptimally, your reproductive health is most likely to. So again, we need to assess a full thyroid panel, including antibodies. Again, something we can encourage you to advocate for with your doctor. And if there is something that we see off, it's just information for us. And there are things we can do to work with it to support our body. So here we go to step 3, nourishing your body. Here we're going to look at how to start to heal your body with supportive nutrition and supplements. So before we start to talk about what's on your plate, I want to understand, what is your relationship like with food? Are we enjoying meals? Is this all overwhelming? When you Google fertility nutrition, are you like, okay, bye? What would you say? Anybody? It's a big question, I know. Oh, okay. Okay. That's good. Okay. Okay. That's not a bad place to be. Definitely.
I
Yeah.
think the influencer, like I follow a bunch of like organic health influencers and stuff, and that kind of gets to be a little bit like stressful.
Yes.
I'm like, what am I getting wrong?
Right. Right.
It's a little bit overwhelming in that regard.
Yes, I think so too.
Like the products and everything that you can and should be using.
Right. So it's like information overload.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe you're like, I love food, but I'm interested in the information. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But loving your food is important too.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I definitely get the overwhelm of information, bringing up stress and frustration. So definitely been there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's something I love to talk with people, because my relationship with food has not always been the way it is. I definitely haven't always looked at food as a way to support my body. It was more of a way to like restrict my body because my body didn't deserve this. And so entering in like fertility and pregnancy, I think I was just extra grateful for the work I've done with my relationship with food, because I think like all that information would have been difficult to take in, and body changes because of medication. I think it's important to touch on that too.
One thing too, I think is really challenging is that there's so many people out there telling you what to do and not do, and it's hard to figure out like who's credible and who's not.
Yes.
Because it feels like there's so much that people are trying to sell. So it's hard, like when you're trying to make positive changes, to understand like what is someone just like pushing on you because they're making a profit off of it, and what is actually like going to help your body from like a medical standpoint.
Yeah. I think that makes it so difficult to know who to trust, and is this legitimate information, or is it just a cute Instagram idea or something? But yeah, I think for that, I would just, encourage you to look at who is the source. I think I even said this to my sister the other day. If it's a blogger, I wouldn't listen to it, and that's not to be rude. Like if it's giving health advice, I am very, conservative about my health advice, so I just think someone is just giving you a recommendation because it works for them, that maybe isn't evidence-based. And I think that's just in terms of health, like specifically with fertility. I think that's just difficult. I mean, in terms of like products that help you is great, but like specific nutrition, like nutrient vitamin recommendations, I'd just be hesitant, because there's a lot out there that it's hard to understand, so you need to make sure it's a true professional looking at the research on it, just because otherwise it is going to be too much. Too overwhelming. But some other common mistakes I see in fertility nutrition, and I think these common things, it's important to note that these things are highly solvable. We just tend to feel like we are the problem. So we just get really hard on ourselves. And really we should step into some more body wisdom and know that we might actually have more information than we realize and might actually have more supportive fertility diet if we listen to ourselves more so. So I think I see a lot of the all or nothing mentality. People are either all in or all out, and that just isn't sustainable in terms of your health. In terms of supplements, again, people are either doing too much, not enough, or like high quality, not the right quality, or not the right ones for them and their body and their stage. And so I think this is where we really try to streamline the process and make sure you're getting what your body needs. So you have like, you feel encouraged knowing that you're doing what you need to be doing. Then lastly, I think people eat in a very blood sugar imbalanced way. We all are so busy, we forget to eat, and then we eat a lot. And I just think, again, we need to like think what our body needs us to, how our body needs to support, needs us to, that doesn't make sense, how our body needs our support, and eat in a way to do that. So I think that's where that knowledge piece can come in. Like, hey, this is what's going on in your body potentially. Here are some small changes. So you're making changes with the knowledge to go with them. So then for step 3, nourishing your body, we do this with the fertility power plate. So if you take nothing away from today, I hope you take away this. Really, in terms of fertility nutrition, the way you're going to make the most impact is making sure that you are eating enough to support your body so that it is able to do what it needs to do, and then also support a baby. If it's not eating enough, it's really going to be hesitant to do that. And then, so once you're eating enough, once you assess that, and we obviously would love to help with that too, then do we encourage you to build on that and make sure you're getting the right components. Make sure you're getting enough protein, fat, starches, and vegetables on your plate. And then we take a look at building and making sure you're getting specific nutrients. So we take a building approach. Are you getting enough? Then are you getting enough of these components to balance your plate, to balance your blood sugar, which then balances your hormones? And then beyond that, some specific nutrients. Hey, how are you? And then to take it up a notch in that graduated approach, we then talk about a modified Mediterranean diet, making sure you're getting in antioxidant-rich foods, nutrient-dense carbs, and something I feel really strongly about is high fat and fat-soluble vitamins. If you grew up in the 80s, we have villainized fat our entire life, and it's this whole thing. But to really think about it, it makes 0 sense. Fat is literally the backbone of our precursor of all of our hormones. So if we're not getting enough, we're not going to make enough hormones, and that's an issue for a lot of women too. Some people deal with too much of certain hormones, but I think a lot of people deal with too low, and I think that would trace that back to low fat diet stuff. And then also making sure you get enough fat soluble vitamins, which again, you need enough fat to be able to absorb those vitamins so they can do what they need to do. And then we're going to have some emphasis on some whole food sources of some specific nutrients.
Yeah.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Yeah, I'd love that.
So it can be kind of overwhelming to try and figure out like where to even get started with this. I don't know if this is a question for you, Jesse, or maybe for Lily, but do you guys offer like any type of like recipes or like support of like how to start to build a meal plan that supports this?
Yeah, definitely. So I agree. I think this can be like, okay, now how do I do this? And so we have built some specific recipes, like a recipe book for fertility, just because I agree. I think we are all doing a lot of things to focus on our fertility. I want to help you like walk the walk, and like just use some recipes that I've already like thought this through for you to get the, I don't know if that's the right analogy, but get the bike going with the training wheels on, you know what I'm trying to say? You can get started with the training wheels on, and then you can go on your own. But yes, I think it is a little bit overwhelming to do all this and understand all this. So we have some recipes for you to like get started with, if that's something that'd be helpful. Yeah. So Lily, you ready?
Yeah. And then I'm also going to kind of talk a lot about specific nutrients and food sources too that can kind of help you develop different meals and kind of think of different recipes. And I'm going to talk about those too. So hopefully I'll be able to kind of really answer your question as we go on as well. So I'm just okay, so they can hear me. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So yeah, just prioritizing your nutrients and getting started. We're just gonna kind of go through nutrients and talk all about that. Before we do get into that on that last side, I do just want to hit on something really, really fast. I know we already switched, but the antioxidants that Jesse was talking about in the Mediterranean diet, super, super important because antioxidants are really, really good for egg quality and improving egg quality. So making sure that you have enough antioxidants in your diet is super key. And that's really why we're emphasizing the Mediterranean diet with these whole foods because it is a very antioxidant rich diet. So just wanted to kind of place some emphasis on that. And then folate, B6, and B12 were some nutrients up there. That is kind of like the nutrient trifecta we really, really want to hit on for egg quality, for fertility, all those things. So we are definitely going to dive deeper into that. So what nutrients are you all currently prioritizing? Is there a specific nutrient where you're like, man, I'm really trying to get a lot of healthy fat or a lot of vitamin D in my diet? Or is there anything specific that you all are really trying to place emphasis on?
I recently started the high fat, but like
Yeah.
I'm not like I have some friends that are like going across to New Albany and getting like raw milk and stuff. I'm
Yes.
not there, but
Yeah.
I'm like,
But I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not there yet, but like, interested in that.
Yeah.
I just don't know if
Yeah.
it's the safe route or not.
But you're doing like the whole milk, maybe.
Right,
You're
I'm
like,
doing the
there we go.
organic whole milk,
Yeah.
like,
There we go.
all of
Yeah.
that.
That's awesome.
And, like,
Healthy
full
fats. Yeah.
organic butter and stuff
There you
like
go.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great.
That is
I
awesome.
think you're seeing some stuff. That's right. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Healthy fats, so
Yeah.
so important. So I love that you're prioritizing. Yeah.
Mine is more iron because I'm on.
Yeah.
thyroid,
Right.
And then, vitamin D.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
with everything else that I need to add in, I have to add stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are great. That's great though.
We're going to talk a lot about vitamin D. So
Yeah,
Anyone
perfect.
else? Try? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first nutrient of concern that we are going to discuss today is folate. We're going to really dive deep into folate because it is very, 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 very important. So before we kind of dive into all the specifics on why you need it, on why folate is so important, we're first going to kind of talk about some food sources. So leafy green vegetables, spinach and kale, great source of folate. For me personally, I like to prioritize this by throwing it into smoothies. Grab a handful of spinach and throw it into your morning smoothie. Truly, you can really barely taste it. You can get frozen spinach if you kind of want to thicken your smoothie. If you like to make egg bakes, those are super easy, and we are going to get into a recipe at the end of an egg bake, but you can grab a handful of spinach and throw it in your egg bake and then have that all week, and then there you go, you get your spinach. You're getting a lot of folate in. So yeah, that's a really, really, some attainable ways to get that folate in. Legumes, eggs, you're going to hear me talk about eggs so much because eggs are so nutrient dense. By the end of this presentation, you're going to be like, Lily, stop talking about eggs because I mean, they're so good for you, right?
Please eat eggs.
Yeah, please. If you take anything away, please eat the eggs. So good for you. And then beets. So I actually just had beetroot juice this morning. I try to drink it every day. It is so good, for promoting fertility, for health in general. It is so nutrient dense. That might throw you off beets. I know, like, it's like beets, but I love to throw coconut water in a blender with some beets and blend it up and have it and prep it. And it's, like I said, it's so nutrient rich. It's just incredible for you. It really helps with energy levels. People even like supplement it as pre-workout because it's just so good for you in general. So beetroot juice, can't recommend it enough. So let's get into why you need folate. There are so many reasons, you all. So it is associated with an increased likelihood of pregnancy overall. And we are about to get in a bunch of specifics on why it's associated with an increased likelihood of pregnancy, but super important when you are looking to optimize your nutrition status for fertility. So it's critical for the methylation process. I don't get too caught up on the terminology here. Methylation is essentially just something that triggers gene expression, but it just overall, I say that to kind of really emphasize how important folate is, for just developing a healthy baby. So folate is also in follicular fluid. So this is really cool actually, because in studies with IVF patients, adequate amounts of folate in follicular fluid have been shown to have better IVF outcomes. So that evidence, and that came from an evidence-based study, that shows you just how important folate is. That having an adequate amount is increasing the likelihood of positive outcomes with IVF. So super, super cool research and just awesome. A deficiency has been linked to infertility. And you can kind of start putting together the reasons why. It's important in the follicular fluid. If you're not having folate in the follicular fluid, then deficiency can cause that. It increases progesterone levels, and so progesterone helps the egg implant in the uterus. It's really important for pregnancy maintenance. And also something to note about progesterone in another study I was just looking at the other day. Decreased levels of progesterone were shown with increased rates of miscarriage and infertility. So progesterone is a super, 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 super important. And folate also just plays a critical role in the amount, in the quality of cervical mucus. So why is cervical mucus important? It's important because cervical mucus is what the sperm are going to swim up in to fertilize the egg. And so you really, really want the folate to be there and to be strengthening that cervical mucus and just making it as best quality as possible. So that's a big overview of folate. I know we're going to kind of let that all sink in for a minute. I know that was a lot. We have notebooks here for any of you all who want to take notes, but at any time, if you all have questions about the stuff, please ask me.
And I think that's where, like, going back to the food sources, sorry, Lily, was what really helpful. Like, so this is us proving to you that it's helpful.
Yeah.
And then foods that we should just eat more of. So I think that's also where, like, the recipes can come in. It's like, okay, we understand the information, the why behind why we need to incorporate more of these. Now let's just eat some food, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
If we're eating like 2 eggs a morning, is that sufficient for the daily, like for folate?
For as far as folate goes, I think that would get you maybe like 50% of your daily requirement, but I would still look at other food sources too. So what were those big main ones?
There's a lot of like and the beets, and you can even add spinach. You can.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't think anybody, or not many people.
Yeah.
Like, and I haven't.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna start buying more.
There you go. Adding it to
Yeah, and you can totally hide it too.
And I made it in a hummus before for my Hayden, and he liked it. It was okay. It was okay. I could eat it. Yeah. I think this is one of those that really getting a great prenatal that has a form that is absorbable for you and your body, because you have to eat a lot of spinach to get anywhere near, like your stomach would be a wreck. So so I always do love a food first approach, but if you're struggling with infertility, this is one of those that we should try and use and see. Just hard to get enough of. Love that. Yeah.
I love edamame too. And you can throw that in bowls. It's easy. You can, super, super easy. So that's a great one.
Yeah.
So vitamin B6. This is another super, super important one. Those lights go off with the sensor. So there we go. So some food sources of vitamin B6, potatoes, and some other starchy vegetables. I personally love to take a potato, slice it up, throw some olive oil and sea salt on it, roast them in the oven and make homemade fries. That's great, phenomenal. Get you some vitamin B6 too. Some tuna. Tuna is so great, so nutrient dense. I personally love to make tuna wraps, and that is something that is going to take you not even 5 minutes. I mean, that's my go-to. It's like 3 minutes out the door, nutrient dense, tons of vitamin B6. So that's a great one. Salmon is incredible. Beef liver, beef and poultry. I know you all are going to be like, beef liver, why is that on there? It's beef liver, so nutrient dense. I had to put it on there. Like, I know,
and it's something that we've tried to incorporate more of recently in my household too. And at Whole Foods, they actually have like a pre-ground beef that has pre-ground liver in it. And I promise you would never know. Yeah.
What about the dehydrated capsules?
Love that too.
Okay.
Yeah. That's like a whole food
My
prenatal.
same friend who's like going to get raw milk.
Yes. I love her. Yeah, she's great.
She's giving all the good tips.
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah.
So why do you need vitamin B6? So it is involved in the implementation of the egg. So very, very critical for that step. Deficiency can affect female egg quality. So, you want your eggs to be of the utmost best quality possible. And so a deficiency can really, really hinder that. Low B6 levels are also associated with increased inflammation, which can contribute to infertility. So vitamin B6 is another one of those nutrients that's super, super, super critical. So vitamin D, now we're going to talk about vitamin D. Yep. So vitamin D is like one of my favorite nutrients. I love it. I think it's so important. Food sources of vitamin D. So here's a few that we have up here. Salmon is great. Salmon's actually my favorite thing to have in the world. I love it. I think it just tastes incredible. I like to cut salmon up in cubes, throw it in the air fryer, put some coconut aminos on it. Salmon rub from Trader Joe's. It's done in 10 minutes. It's easy. It's efficient. Absolutely love salmon. And salmon's also great healthy fats. So nutrient dense. Tuna, again, orange juice, of course, with milk, milk as well. Beef liver, again, there you go with the beef liver. Mushrooms and eggs, again. Oh my gosh, eggs are so good for this. Eggs are just great in general. So why do you need vitamin D? The research on this is actually really, really cool. So it enhances ovulation. It helps transport the egg where it needs to go. So, that is huge alone. The transportation of the egg, vitamin D is so essential for that. So it plays a big role. You have vitamin D receptors on your ovaries and your uterus. So, if you have vitamin D receptors, you need the vitamin D to go there. So that just shows you how critical vitamin D is. It's significant in the implanting process as well. So you notice vitamin D is really, really important in a lot of these processes. And it actually triggers steroid hormone production. Again, don't get too caught up on the terminology of that. But progesterone, and if you remember a couple slides ago, I was mentioning that in a study that I recently found, low progesterone was associated with not only infertility, but miscarriages, all that and stuff. So super, super important. And here's a little fun fact for you all. Conception rates are actually higher in the summer in northern countries because you're actually getting outside and getting more vitamin D, especially in the winter months here. I don't like the cold, so I like hermit inside my house. I'm sure so many people do. We're not getting outside as much. And so, you're not getting as much vitamin D. And actually, there is a ton of people who are deficient in vitamin D. And I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's like 60 or 70% or something crazy. Are deficient in vitamin D. And for that reason, and just with our lifestyle these days, we're inside more, we're at work more, we're not outside as much as we used to be. And so really, really prone to vitamin D deficiency. So it's important to prioritize getting vitamin D through your diet.
And making sure your levels are within optimal levels for fertility, because I think our conventional range is not optimal.
Yeah, for sure.
Question, and I kind of know.
Yeah.
So feeding yourself with food
Yes.
compared to taking a supplement.
Mhm. Yes.
Obviously, what's the difference and what's better, but
Food is better. And I think we should try to get most of our nutrients from there. And then it's just like the little bits that we need, just a little bit of help with. Like, okay, we're trying to get 80% of folate or vitamin D from our diet and from our activity outside. With that vitamin D, you can get that through the sun. But okay, we need a little help to be consistent on a daily basis. Like, I think we can use a prenatal for that, but we really shouldn't put all of our, faith in that. It's yeah. The food, our bodies were meant to absorb that, not a pill capsule. So like, I love them and I do encourage them, but we can't just be like, oh, I'm taking the prenatal, we're good here. We got to do the food too.
Yeah.
So.
When we're talking tuna, like canned tuna fine.
Yep.
Yeah. Canned tuna is good. I love
We do try to get wild caught fish. There is more nutrients available in those, and same as pasture raised meats.
Yeah. And Trader Joe's, I don't know if any of you all shop there, but has a great skipjack tuna. That's wild caught. It's in a package. And it's just super easy and really cheap too. So just a little tip there. I always get that from there. So love that. So the next nutrient of concern, zinc. Zinc, again, another super important nutrient. So with food choices, oysters has like 3 asterisks on it. This is because oysters are so rich in zinc. If you take anything away from this slide, associate zinc and oysters because very, very rich in zinc. Beans, nuts, dairy products, red meat as well, whole grains, eggs again. I mean, guys, you are going to see eggs pop up so much in this presentation. Like I said, it has so many nutrients in it. And then mushrooms as well. So why do you need zinc? Zinc overall is a critical component in pregnancy. It is essential for the fertilized egg development. Adequate amounts of zinc are necessary to produce a high quality egg. And I cited a study, another recent study that I found, because I just think it's so cool whenever, you can tie this evidence to a study that has been done and tested on people, so you can see that that's actual evidence-based knowledge that zinc produces a high quality egg, adequate consumption of it. So I thought that was really, really good to point out.
Yeah. Awesome. Yes. 25 milligrams. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then for the last step and where like all of it comes together is trusting your body. So now that you have learned to support your body and have built a lifestyle that that you're seeking balance and all those things, and now that you have started to learn what's going on physically within your body and you're implementing some of those things to nourish and heal and support your body, here we are at hoping, and our hope today is that you have the confidence to build towards your goals. And so we have a big question. What would it look like, or sorry, what would it feel like to trust your body? I know, good. It feel pretty good. It wouldn't feel bad.
Yeah.
It feel maybe like you feel empowered to advocate for yourself with your team. Feel less stressed when you see stuff pop up that overwhelms you. You would like innately know that you have the knowledge. Those are just some ideas. Well, and so trusting your body really brings you to live as authentic of a life and true health and what that would look like for you. So we like to kind of step into this phase and reassess that wellness wheel and how now that you've implemented some things and made some changes, rebalancing your life, we want to see the progress you made and how what that wellness wheel looks like to you when it feels really authentic and energizing and fulfilling. So this wellness wheel is going to look different for everyone, and that's okay. It's supposed to. It just needs to be a balance that you feel supported with. I think something that I wanted to say earlier is we're so quick to judge ourselves, but we're so open and compassionate towards other things. One of my friends told me that it's almost like when you look at a flower that's not blooming, you wouldn't judge the flower for not blooming. You would just put it in better soil and give it more light. And there was one other thing that you would do to help that flower grow. But I can't remember. And same thing goes here. Instead of judging ourselves and thinking something's wrong with us innately, we should just look to see how can we change the soil? What other nutrients do we need? And have the confidence knowing that you have the tools and resources within you to do that. And to get to where you want to go with your fertility. So I think that's rounding it out. If you're ready to get started and need some support, we would love to help you any way we can. There's nothing more that brings me more joy than working one-on-one with women and really partnering with them and feeling empowered in their journey. So if you want to book a visit, you can do that on our website. It's thebeyondnutritionco.com, or you can send me an email if you prefer to do that. Might have some business cards up there too. We would love if you want to be our BFF and you feel like you've got enough information, just follow us on Instagram. That would be fun too. So we're at Beyond Nutrition CO there. And then today we are offering a free fertility consult call after you complete a survey, just so we know what helped you the most here and what other information you would like us to discuss. That would help us out so much. Our goal here is just to bring about community and know you're not alone. And there are things you can do to support your body. And maybe we just weren't taught to the right way, at least. So would love if you fill this out and would love to chat with you a little bit more one-on-one about what's going on. Once you fill out the survey, there should be like a little link that pops up to book the consult call. So yeah, that is it. We'd love to answer any questions you guys have before we get into some recipes.
If you have, I know we've been talking about women's health, but on the male side, do you have recommendations as far as that you told us?
Yeah, absolutely. I think oftentimes when you're working fertility, it does require both people. So while I do feel like I work one-on-one mostly with you, we oftentimes have a session with your partner to discuss some things for him. And I think it's just like you and I will continue to meet and then you continue to implement with him, That's just kind of how I've worked it out so far, but there are definitely some nutrients to focus on if there's some sperm quality issues. The biggest ones I'd say are really going to be those antioxidants, and I think vitamin E and D too. But it depends kind of on like the morphology or other issues going on. But those are some, I think, basic ones that all men could do. And then I think just maybe like cutting out some unhealthy lifestyle factors too could be another thing, which, you know, is that balance wheel we could all look at. But yeah, there's some support needed for both. It's not you. I think it's a team approach for sure. Yeah. That was a great question though. Yeah.
So now to the kind of failed baking situation. We're gonna talk about the recipe. And so, you know, I'll just pull these ingredients up here so we can see them.
So now you can get your eggs by a
Show
quick,
us out.
easy meal prep. Since we're not allowed to cook in here, we'll just walk you through the ingredients maybe.
Show and tell. Yeah. So, walking you through kind of some of these ingredients. So the eggs are super, super important. Like I said, we are going to say eggs a million times throughout this whole presentation. Eggs are a significant source of choline, which is really, really important for methylation, like I was talking about earlier, and just transcribing genes, all those things. And yeah, they just have so many nutrients in them. And this is just really a good recipe to whip up, you know, bake it, throw it in your fridge, and have it the whole week. I always try to look for efficiency. I am so busy. I feel like everyone is, you know, we all live busy lives. We're all having to do so many things, and cooking every day is just not always efficient. So this is one of these recipes that is going to allow you to meal prep, get so many nutrients in every single day with minimal effort. You know, throwing this in the microwave for like 30 seconds and eating it before you leave for work in the morning, whatever it is.
So you can be really intentional with your time.
Yes, exactly. So really, really good. So yeah, it has the broccoli florets in it, mushrooms, which are really, really good, white onion, and 10 eggs. So like I said, eggs super important, some cheddar cheese. And it's just a super easy recipe overall. You know, you can just kind of make it, whip it up, and throw it in the oven.
And something for you, Allison, too, to increase iron absorption. This one is cooked in a cast iron skillet. So I don't know if that's something you're already doing, but okay. There you go. Yeah. So that would increase the iron absorption of your food. Yeah, little things like that. Yeah. And so always with our recipes in the recipe book too, yes, we're thinking about optimal fertility, but I've always liked like the nutrients that help get you pregnant are also the ones that are going to help you stay pregnant. So these recipes, we're also thinking about for like your pregnancy too. We really want to help you, almost like, you know, why do I do all these things and then have to change in a couple of months, you know? So let's go ahead and get these practices down and stuff you can just continue with.
Hey, Jesse.
Oops, Siri. And get those nutrient stores as filled as we can too, because there's potential challenges that come up that might make us not want to eat eggs all the time too. So yeah, and then the fertility bites that we have over here, they're just packed with some vitamins and minerals and really easy to grab. Again, like to make sure your blood sugar is balanced and you're eating enough throughout the day. They've got walnuts, dates, almond butter, but you could really use any nut butter, dark cacao powder, which is a really great source of magnesium and fiber as well. And then shredded coconut, maca powder, cardamom, and cinnamon. So that's just that recipe. If you guys ever want to try that at home, tag us on Instagram. We'd love to see.
Yeah. And something to note super fast, the cinnamon in these is such good for blood sugar balance. It's really, really good for that. I like dumped cinnamon in my coffee this morning, not actually, but I put a lot of cinnamon in my coffee in the morning because it's just really, really good to balance blood sugar. So yeah, just highlight that ingredient. Cinnamon is great. You can add it anywhere to your smoothies, to coffee, you know, these energy bites, all the things.
Yes, love that. Yeah, I heard that too.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Great.
Hormone balancing. Good stuff. Yeah. Cool. Well, that is it. That's all we had today, you guys. Any questions on here? Let's see. Okay.
I had a question.
Yeah.
So you said like for egg quality, it's about like an 80 to 100 day cycle. So if we are not meeting these needs currently, like should we delay trying in order to get our bodies in the right place, or is it something that we can just start doing while
I would just start doing now, you know. I wouldn't delay anything. I think that's going to cause more stress. I would just try and prioritize it now. And so there still can be impact with making changes now within the next cycle. I just think you might not see as like big of change until it's that 100-day cycle. So I still wouldn't say just stop.
And then also
what kind of eggs? I know you'd mentioned certain types of meat and certain
Yeah.
types of fish.
The same-
What kind of
Yeah, so same thing goes. I would encourage pasture raised eggs just because there is so much more nutrients available in those, specifically like DHA. That's going to be a lot more prevalent in the pasture raised eggs. But there's just a lot of research in that specific nutrient. But I think there's more nutrients, all nutrients more so prevalent in the pasture raised eggs. So I think it's, I'm sorry. I know it's like a little bit more money to do, but I think it's like so worth it. If I had to spend $10, it would be on that item at the grocery store. We
Yeah.
feel that strongly about eggs.
Yeah,
So
well, you can tell the difference too because the pasture raised eggs, the yolks, yes. So I mean, you can really, really see the difference. You know, sometimes I feel like it's like, oh, you're paying something, you like don't really see it, but
right.
yeah, you can really, really see it and really tell.
It's a good way to
So
spend your
it's
money.
cool.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, what were you gonna? Yes.
Yeah.
Orange.
It is
Yes.
really
Yeah.
orange. Yeah, yeah. The,
Great.
Better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way better.
All the above. And please eat the yolk. Don't just eat the egg white
Yeah.
because that's where all the nutrients are. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good. I'm glad we're over that.
Good to point out. Yeah.
So I have a question about the quality.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does that mean like fertilize if the egg quality is poor, or will there be issues with the embryo? What's the other side of that?
Yeah, I think the biggest one could be like potential like chromosomal abnormalities coming up from that like poor egg quality. And so I think you can think of it as like this egg quality, right? So this one egg that you ovulate, that one cycle that you've been growing for 90 to 100 days, that one cell has got to have enough energy to make it through the fallopian tube and implant in the uterus. Like that's like 8 days. It's got to survive off the energy within this one cell. So I don't know, that's kind of a long time, you know?
Yeah.
So you got to have really fueled up that egg so it can make it there. So I think as far as like being able to fertilize, it might be able to fertilize, but will it be able to make it to the uterus is the question. And that's where you can really make an impact with the egg quality. So does that kind of help understand?
And then you said something about
Egg whites.
the whole egg, but what if you add egg white?
So you can totally eat the egg whites, but I just think a lot of people like take this and like pour out the egg yolk and just eat the egg white. And I'm like, that's where all the nutrients are. So
yeah.
you can eat the egg whites, just don't skip on the egg yolk. So I think some people are like trying to skip fat, but that also means you skip nutrients.
It's definitely a social media thing to get just buy like the carton of liquid egg whites right now. I feel like is a big thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Recently, this week, I started to add egg whites to spread.
So then it's okay. You know, you just want to still get the yolks and maybe try to opt for the pasture raised to like get more nutrient density and like what you are eating. Yeah.
Which prenatal vitamin do you recommend? Like what has the best quality?
Yes, great question. We have a photo back there. If you turn around, you'll see Erin. So I also think it's not one size fits all. So I think that's where we also need to like do the full assessment and see where you need support. Because yes, this offers help, but there's still other components that we might need to take into account. But it's the full well one is probably like, if I had to say a great product that would help most women, maybe not like to 100%, but really, like if you look at the Ritual one, I think that's the one that I see a lot of my friends take, and I'm like, oh, it's barely got anything in it, and what it's marketed to us as a prenatal, and I'm like, that is not a prenatal in my opinion. It's just a fancy item because it's got like 2 different like shells or something. But so I like the Full Well one for to meet most of your needs. Yeah, that's a great question.
How long but starting this nutrition journey, have you seen it taken from start to finish as a
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I actually think I base it back to I've seen it line up similarly with that egg quality, like the 100 days. So kind of like 3 months, 3 to 4 months, really gives you gives you the time to impact that egg quality, reduce inflammation, and support your blood sugars. If you've got fibroids going on, what can we do to support that inflammation going on? I think you can start to feel the difference within a month, but then see the difference in terms of like blood levels and fertility around 3 months. So
this might be a question. One chat. So
yeah.
You've already been through you have to pay.
Yeah.
And you're gonna go through another implementation. What would be the best option? Obviously to start with nutrition, but you're not so much worried about the egg quality.
Right at that point. Yeah. So I think that's when your focus goes more to like the uterine lining, how to support that. And I will be honest, things kind of are similar. So like, it's not like we're just wasting our time. I mean, it's So there's similar things. The fat is always going to be a plus, you know, but then there's some other specific nutrients. I mean, we could have had like 3 hours worth of nutrients and discuss specific areas, but I think that what y'all would all want to leave then. So I think it's just a little bit of a shift of the focus, but still good to focus. There's a lot to focus on. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I don't want you to be overwhelmed by that. It's just different things you could do to support your body. I think the key is so you don't get overwhelmed is by taking a minute to understand what's going on within your body. Otherwise we'll Google or we won't Google and we'll just see friends or something. And we'll do all the things, but it wasn't what we needed to do. And I've been there and done that. And that's just so frustrating. So yeah, thanks for all the great questions. That was so awesome.
Can you tell us what the prenatal was again?
Yes. Yes. Perfect. Yeah, it's Fullwell, prenatal. We can send it out when we send out like the recap of this. It's online actually. Yeah. And it's one of those you can't get on Amazon too. It's specifically at their store, but that's what you want. You don't want it from Amazon. So I know it's a pain. We love Amazon, but it's for a good reason. But yeah, when we send out like a recap email, just to like say thank you to everyone, we'll attach it in there. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. I think we'll go ahead and close out, but feel free to message me on Instagram or email me if you have any questions. Thanks again. Take care.